Good evening. My name is Christian Halstead, and this is Both Sides News. The story of the day, once again, is the fierce debate over Signalgate. For those of you who have been living under a rock, on March 15th, our military launched a strike on the Iranian-backed Houthis militant group in Yemen due to their threatening of cargo ships passing through the Red Sea. The attack was deemed successful by all. We killed multiple of their leaders, and all was well and good until March 24th. That was the day when the Atlantic's editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg, dropped an article depicting how 2 days before our attack on the Houthis, he had somehow been added into a private Signal group chat that contained Trump's top cabinet members who were actively discussing the attack. In Goldberg's initial article on the 24th, he shared screenshots of messages showing an ongoing back and forth between J.D. Vance, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and other top Trump officials about the ramifications of a possible attack. In this article, Goldberg said there were war plans shared in the chat, but in the interest of not wanting to threaten the lives of our military, he decided not to share them. This initial article created an absolute firestorm on both sides, with conservatives obviously downplaying the severity, calling it a simple mistake, and applauding the fact that real, thoughtful conversations were happening among our leaders, while liberals obviously called this a severe breach of national security and called for the resignation of top Trump officials. The Trump administration also initially refuted the fact that classified information was included in these chats, and then today happened. And today was a big day. Jeffrey Goldberg released a brand new article sharing the supposed attack plans from the group chat that he previously said in his first article that he wouldn't share. And here they are. This message is from the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, on March 15th, the day of the attack on the Houthis at 11:44 Eastern Time, just 30 minutes prior to the first attack. He's laying out sequence by sequence an overview of the attack for the other members of the administration. The Democrats are, of course, saying this is clearly classified information, while Pete Hegseth responded saying it was not classified information because it didn't include details. Now, the first question: why does it matter whether or not this is classified information? Well, this goes way beyond the fact of Jeffrey Goldberg being in the chat. In fact, people aren't really even talking about Jeffrey Goldberg anymore. The talk is more so now about the fact that government officials, specifically Pete Hegseth, was discussing potentially classified information on an unapproved messaging app. You see, it is the law that classified information only be shared or discussed on government-approved platforms which are built, operated, or controlled by the U.S. government or its contractors and are operated on secure government networks. Signal is a private company, so obviously not approved to handle classified information. Now, it is true that many staffers from the Trump administration to the Biden and Obama administration have used Signal, as it is considered one of the safest and most secure apps to communicate non-classified information with. Signal uses what is called end-to-end encryption, which pretty much means when you send a message, it gets scrambled on your phone, travels through the internet unreadable to anyone, even Signal can't read your message, and only gets unscrambled on the recipient's device. It's considered the gold standard for message security for the general public. But as we've said, it does not meet government standards for classified information. So that's where the issue arises. We all remember back in 2016, the election, the Hillary Clinton email debacle where she used a personal email account to discuss classified information. Now, the question becomes, what's the definition of classified information? And did what Pete Hegseth send match that definition? So, Obama signed an executive order in 2009 titled the Classified National Security Information Order, which remains the current governing framework for how the U.S. government classifies, declassifies, and handles national security information. The order says classified information is any government-owned information that falls into one of 8 protected categories and could reasonably be expected to cause damage to national security if disclosed without authorization. One of those 8 protected categories is military plans, which includes weapon systems or operations, strike plans, troop movements, or war games, and there's obviously more. The left claims this message by Pete Hegseth is obviously military plans prior to an attack by listing strike times, mission sequencing, and operational planning, and the claim is, if this information was disclosed to the world when it was initially sent, it would put the military personnel conducting the attack at risk by removing the element of surprise and allowing the Houthis or Iran or Russia to think of a plan to combat our attack. Now, Pete Hegseth and the right claims that because there were no targets, locations, units, routes, sources, or methods, that it was not a war plan, and instead it was just a general update meant to keep everyone informed. Now, classified information is typically labeled as classified by either the president, vice president, or head of an agency, so then the question arises. If Pete Hegseth didn't classify this information and he claims it isn't classified, is it not classified because he never made it classified? Does he have discretion on what is classified or not? The answer, according to Obama's executive order, which remember is the framework, is that classification is not merely confined to labels and can be classified by nature if it follows the parameters I spoke about earlier. You know, if it lands under military plans and threatens national security if disclosed. And there actually is some precedent to this. Back to Hillary's emails, once again, when courts found that information can be classified even if it's not marked classified, especially if it is clearly of a sensitive national defense nature. And yes, sharing classified information through a non-approved platform like Signal is illegal, according to the Espionage Act. Now, there's a lot going on, and even Secretary of State Marco Rubio today confirmed that this was a mistake. But Republicans are saying that the consequences of this mistake were minimal, as even though a reporter was somehow added to this conversation of potentially classified information, the mission still went forward successfully. We will see how long this story remains the forefront of the media, but please tell me what you think in the comments on how I can improve these videos. And I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Time talking about whatever the news brings tomorrow. Please subscribe if you enjoy this content. It really helps. Have a great night.